We've got lots of entries, so let's jump on into the portal. Tom, we got to start with Deacon Hill, forever a Hawkeye. I mean, he gave us the full letter, you know. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what his signature looked like, but I feel like I know right now. What? How about this? Let's start with, before we get to the Deacon Hill side, what's Iowa going to do at quarterback? Because Deacon Hill was taking significant snaps during spring practice as Cade McNamara continues to work his way back to full health. And
Another quarterback who was recruited out of high school by Tim Lester at Western Michigan also entered the portal shortly after the Deacon Hill news hit, Chip.
Oh, so if you connect the yarn and the dots, what quarterback was that?
Brendan Sullivan from Northwestern.
Northwestern.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it's funny. If that is what is happening, it is so absolutely perfect and fitting that Iowa is going shopping for quarterbacks at Northwestern. But to the Deacon Hill point, the reaction from Iowa fans has been kind of hilarious in that it's like, I have nothing against the kid. He's a really nice kid. Thank God he's gone, which is pretty much like the consensus feeling from Hawkeyes fans because they were terrified of another season of going in with Deacon Hill as their quarterback. For me, I would give anything to see like Deacon Hill in a Ball State uniform next year, or, just playing on a Tuesday night. Cause I feel like you put Deacon Hill in the MAC and maybe you can get something going there.
I think they're banking on McNamara being healthy, which I think is risky. I mean, the guy has a history of injuries. I don't think he's particularly a good player when he is healthy. He's not terrible. Like, he's clearly much better than Deacon Hill is. I was making some jokes on Twitter yesterday. I usually don't do about, like, it would be hilarious if Iowa's quarterback situation devolves to where it's like, actually they miss Deacon Hill this year. But they keep telling about this quarterback they got, Marco, who's like super athletic.
Lines or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually am very inclined to believe them. We've said on the show before, other schools think they recruit receiver at like a MAC level. So how much does quarterback matter? We find out it actually does matter some. Like, you can't run Deacon Hill out there and expect to do much.
And they still got to the Big Ten.
Yeah. They still won the West.
We're going to be like shooting videos. Like, you know how we shoot videos now to educate kids on what happened in the 90s?
Right.
Many of us are still working this job in like 10 years. You'd be like, guys, there used to be this division called the Big Ten West.
And it was beautiful.
And it was like fighting each other with mini brooms. It just yeah.
Whoa. Not with mini brooms. I would say it's more like it's closer to sledgehammers because it is physically punishing. It's just not efficient.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, fair enough.
Another angle to this, the Deacon Hill news. A lot of schools are looking for defensive tackles in the portal.
This is so true.
Just saying.
Deacon, I'm telling you.
Just beef up a little bit. Not even that much.
And think about, I mean, people talk about a quarterback on the defense. What if you've got a quarterback on the defense? The recognition is going to be incredible.
Do you know how I really want to see him go, actually?
Where?
He's Colorado.
Oh.
Like, behind that offensive line, dude.
Speaking of
they have trouble getting a backup quarterback there because,
no one wants to play behind Shador. Are they having trouble like that?
Oh, it's a competition, open competition.
Open competition.
Competition elsewhere is what Colorado running back Dylan Edwards is going to be seeking. Former 5-star prospect, hit the ground running. We remember him with a couple touchdown catches early in the season for the Buffs and those big time wins. But obviously we are not that far separated from his evaluation as a prospect. You think Dylan Edwards is one of the obviously a top name, but do you think it's one of the top players in a running back market that right now we've talked as a position of need for a lot of different teams?
Yeah, so I don't think I downgrade Colorado that much for losing, kind of a scat back in Dylan Edwards, but I do think he's somebody that a lot of teams will take a look at He actually played Pop Warner ball with Avery Johnson. In fact, Avery Johnson tweeted some photos of this pretty recently, which I know that we have. So yeah, that's Avery Johnson handing off to Dylan Edwards as a kid. What do you think they are? They're probably
What age do we?
That's 9 or 10.
8 to 10. Yeah,
babies.
Yeah. So I mean, they clearly know each other. Kansas State has had some very recent success with undersized backs in that offense. He would have a chance to make a bowl game. He would actually be able to play for a conference title and probably make more NIL money at Kansas State than he can at Colorado. So if you upgrade the program, you go play with your buddies, and you have a chance to win a conference title. That seems like a good opportunity for me.
Yeah.
What stinks to me is like when they got Dallin Hayden like 2 days ago, I was like, oh, that's a really good pickup for Colorado. Him and Edwards, that's going to be like a really kind of an excellent combination for them to have in the backfield. And then 24 hours later, Edwards is hitting the portal. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I still like Hayden, but I really liked it when you had multiple options. So yeah, it's I think Edwards is a very good kind of like Bud was saying, a scat back, undersized. Once you get him in the open field, he can run away from people, but he's not really the kind of running back you're going to be looking to hand the ball off to 20, 25 times a game. So it was like I was thinking it would be Hayden would be the feature back, and then Edwards would be the scat back kind of pass catching option. So it kind of hurts that I think that he's leaving. But you're right, Kansas State, going all the way back to Darren Sproles. Undersized running backs do well in that color of purple.
I can't explain it. It is it's
just
a
works.
marvel. Yeah, it just works. All right, let's keep the portal before we get to some of the other portal developments, players who are jumping in. So Derek Harmon, who's played a good bit over the last 2 seasons for Michigan State along the defensive line. We remember we talked about Simeon Barrow. It's a very good player on the defensive line for Michigan State. I was looking at some of the Michigan State side of things. They've got this up to like 7 rotation players from this Michigan State defense. But do you have any insight on sort of the vibe or the buzz there? Because you throw Jonathan Smith, Aiden Childs at me, I'm gonna be, oh, okay, Michigan State. This is often one of those, like, yeah, it looks shiny up top, but the insides and the engines might need a little bit of work. What's the level of concern right now about the Spartans defense?
I would say extreme concern.
Okay.
When you lose Barrett, like when you lose those 2 guys who were huge keeps in the winter window, that was set to be, in my opinion, one of the strengths of that Michigan State defense. And I have a lot of confidence in coordinator Joe Rossi, who they stole from Minnesota, and I have a ton of confidence in Jonathan Smith. I think he's one of the premier coaching and development coaches in college football. And they got Aiden Childs when a lot of other schools wanted Aiden Childs. So there's a lot going right at Michigan State. But man, like I don't know how you don't step up and keep at least one of these 2 guys. And I know they made him a good offer. Our Spartan 247 site reported that back in the winter window. But as Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. Okay. And when Jay Toya went back to UCLA, that took one of the bigger names out of the market. And I think some of these big time D tackles are going to get somewhere between 600 and 900K for one good year. So again, the price on D tackles has really gone up because LSU needs 2. Texas thought it had Toya, from what I understand, and UCLA stepped up to keep him. And I made a comment yesterday on Twitter. It's like 3 different networks are paying you. How do you not like have your boosters step up and divert the booster money to NIL? Okay, like that's I don't know. Like I had higher hopes for Michigan State than this, personally. And
we'll say though, shout out to UCLA for keeping Toya, because that was like, huh?
Dude, you lose him, Latu, the Murphy twins.
Mm-hmm.
Good night.
That gets so. Not only did Texas think they had him, they did have him on campus for the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
The spring game that led our spring game takeaways because it was competitive. It was fun. It had Arch Manning. Like if you were in Austin around that Texas football program, you likely left Austin with the thought like, hey, this team might play for a national championship this year. And yet he comes back. And then we get the announcement on social media that Jay Toya's going to be at UCLA. Huge for year 1. Deshaun Foster. Remember, Deshaun Foster, the head coach of UCLA.
I should write that down.
Yeah, listen. UCLA, a Big Ten team. The head coach of UCLA, Deshaun Foster. These are sticky notes in my office. Okay, just to remind myself. Also, Tom, they've been talking about us over there at Inside Carolina. Phenomenal part of the 24/7 Sports Network. I believe, normally it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Wish Chip was a bigger homer. Oh, like he tries to fake like he doesn't like Carolina. But they said, I wonder if Chip Patterson and Tom Fornelli will give as much time to Omarion Hampton announcing a recommitment with North Carolina's NIL collective. We were cracking loose references amid speculation. I stand by the fact that my speculation was that there were programs with spending power that were very interested in a 1,000-yard back like Omarion Hampton hitting the transfer portal. So with this, Tom, I guess we got to start it. This is huge news for North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the transfer portal is free agency. It's all fluid. Offers come, offers go. Somebody steps up, things can change quickly. Because you said it was very informed speculation about Omarion Hampton in a couple of schools. But this is huge for North Carolina in that, you don't have Drake May anymore. You don't really know who your quarterback's going to be. Odds are, whatever the situation, they're going to have to lean on the run game a bit more next season than they have in recent years when they had May and they had Howell and they had those receivers. So to keep him in the fold, I think is a very big deal for North Carolina. Now, I still think they need to upgrade their offensive line, and we still need to see what happens at quarterback, but this is a win. Like, if you're a North Carolina fan, there's nothing to feel about this but other than thrilled.
I talked to somebody yesterday who's pretty in the industry, and he thought that as of like the week before the Rutgers deal got done, he was actually kind of low-key the one who was more in danger of leaving. So I think it's huge North Carolina stepped up not only for Hampton and for Rucker, because that guy's got some real pass rush juice.
Yeah, come on, Rucker. I definitely should have mentioned him as well. I know the North Carolina fans, but it was a dual announcement that their top offensive star and their best pass rusher were both recommitting themselves. And that news coming after the spring game when you were kind of looking like, all right, spring game's over. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Mm-hmm. So, Mac Brown and Chip Lindsey, Jeff Collins, the new defensive coordinator, they are all going to be feeling a little bit better here as the portal winds down over the next 6 days or so.
I do hope North Carolina worked in some bonuses in Hampton's deal for pass blocking. Like, hey, just chip somebody. We'll give you 10 grand.
Some of these are bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
I was on this. I went and watched them. Yeah.
Drake May was dealing with some stuff, folks. Just that's all I'm going to.
Would you say room for improvement if we were doing the report card or like the NI needs improvement?
Yeah.
Hey, you got.
There are not supposed to be as many free rushers through the A gaps as Drake May and North Carolina dealt with last year. I'll just leave it at that.
Listen, look, we got size, we got speed, we got explosiveness. Okay, these are all the things on the left side. On the right side, buddy, you're going to get our quarterback killed, okay? Because it's not Drake May anymore. Whether it's Connor Harrell or Max Johnson, it ain't Drake May. So, yeah, look, Omarion Hampton's a stellar player. That's huge news for North Carolina, and it falls within, again, paired with Jay Toya, some of these resolutions to the transfer portal buzz is, hey, look, and that's kind of how the system can work. Hey, I'm thinking, there's, a rumor, or I'm actually in the portal, or I'm on an official visit. Well, guess what? You can always come back if you're able to reach a new spot with your current school.
Also, I say it as a joke, but for Omarion's own personal future earnings, show an ability to block. NFL teams truly do care about that. It's hard for running backs to make money at the next level. It's much harder when they don't feel like they can leave you in passing situations.
You got to be so damn good
as
a runner for the NFL to ignore your pass protection.
I got two. Or you want to do this one from Ryan, Bud?
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting question. So
all right, Ryan says, is anyone that has entered the portal since it opened in the spring session a day 1 or day 2 pick?
Day 2 encompasses rounds 2 and 3.
Second and third, yeah.
I would say there's a 100% chance that a couple guys who have gone in will be drafted by the end of day 2. Just mathematically. Is there guys we can point out right now? Toya went in and came back. I think he has a chance to be a top 100 guy.
Yeah.
maybe Harmon or Barrow potentially, if they have a big season, could.
Is Jaden Rashada a 3rd-round pick?
Maybe one day, but it's way too early to.
Have we talked about him in Georgia doing kind of like the Dante Moore thing, like Oregon's doing?
No.
Have we seen programs like do this before, where they take a really talented guy who kind of needs a reset and stash him? It's an interesting thing that's going on here.
Yeah, I think we could. It's like kind of a pushback on it. Was for years there with the portal first opening. It's just like as soon as a guy wasn't getting playing time, they were immediately bolting for starting time. Now it's like you're seeing a pushback where guys are like, no, actually, you know what? I could use a year to just sit and learn. So I think that with top programs, like you look at the teams like the Oregons and Georgias, teams that are going to be competing for conference titles and playoff berths every year and national titles, I think you will start to see it a lot more with those guys. Not like it won't be the more popular or overwhelming thing, but I think you're going to start seeing it more and more. I mean, Arch Manning's doing it at Texas. He didn't transfer, but that's what he's doing.
Right. Is Rashada to Georgia set? Or is that just kind of like where the buzz is pointing?
I think it's just where the buzz is pointing. I don't think he's announced anything.
Okay. Buzz, very loud buzz.
Right. And then Jordan says, how about Damien Martinez still in the portal? Bud, how do you feel about that?
I feel like he's still going to Miami until somebody tells me different. I think that's the guy they wanted for a while. If I had to read some tea leaves here, like Miami needs a D tackle. They just lost Jared Harrison Hunt, who I don't think is a stud, but obviously played a lot for them last year and would project to play a lot this year. So their need for a defensive tackle only ratcheted up. The Toya going back to UCLA also impacts a school like that because they're in the D tackle market. And that means Texas is now probably in on one of the guys that you were also in on. So you're going to give a lot more money to a D tackle than you are running back if you're smart. So
also,
I would guess they're trying to like, hey,
we're trying to get him. We need to pay this, and then
we'll give you our final number when we figure out what a D tackle is going to cost us.
Also, like I'm not going to diminish Damien Martinez in any way because I think he's a good player, but he also ran behind the best run blocking offensive line in the country last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Good player, great player.
They have to get it back though, because we were dead on with Trevante Citizen, like not getting right physically, which sucks for him because he was a really nice prospect, and we don't know what Fletcher's going to be. Like that bowl game injury was serious, so. They have to get somebody at running back.
Interesting.